you have people come to Providence to bring more revenue to the city, but the event is strictly just a sporting event, and CycleCross is one of the largest up-and-coming sports. It's just a really cool event. So it's, do you know what CycleCross is? CycleCross is a combination of mountain biking and road racing combined into one event, but there are obstacle courses built in. So they have to go over hurdles, like planks of wood that are transferred into bunny hops. They have to go up a bridge, which is called a flyover, which goes about 1 story in the air, about 10 to 12 feet. So they go up a ramp, over it, and down, and it goes over the course. And it's just really a technical, cool event. And it's just a crazy sport.
Second. Is this a ticketed event?
It is not a ticketed event. Anyone can go. It's completely open to spectators.
Another question?
How many people are typically in attendance at this event?
First year that I had done it was about 2,500 per day as spectators. About 700 cyclists per day. And after my third year doing it in 2012, we had about 3,000 to 4,000 people per day and about 950 cyclists per day.
Are the riders famous riders or local people?
A little of everything. There's all different categories. So there are going to be local people that have never tried it before, or people like my husband that have only done it once. And then there are people that come in from all around the country and all around the world. This past year we had 14 countries represented, and of that, more than a third of the cyclists that competed made it to Worlds last week in Louisville, Kentucky.
Second question.
How challenging is it to pull together such a large event?
More than you'd ever imagine. It's the logistics that go behind it are crazy, between things that you don't think about. Because you hire a doctor and because you hire an ambulance and because you hire EMTs doesn't mean you're getting supplies. You still have to pay for the supplies. So when you pay for an ambulance company, don't expect supplies. Pay for a doctor, don't expect supplies. So you don't know the logistics that go into everything until you get ensconced into it. And it's just like those challenges. It's really, really challenging with all the logistics. And everyone has specific jobs that they do and they're in charge of. And the jobs change daily with, oh, I didn't think of that. So it's a logistical nightmare that usually works out well.
Question 8.
How do you market or advertise?
We have a person that's in charge of media. He does it through, most of it through social media and print ad. We partner up with different magazines, different newspapers. And one of our announcers is world famous. And a lot of people just follow him, and he just announced in Louisville. That would be our friend Richard Fries. And the media and the outreach is done via schools by doing different programs with them. The cyclists love it, so they do a lot of social media saying that they're coming to town. So it's a lot of mostly social media and print ad and word of mouth. Okay, so one of the ways we get it out is there's a professional athlete. Her name is Meredith Miller. She just was one of the top 3 in the world, and she just represented the U.S. at the Worlds in Louisville this past weekend. And this is my buddy Meredith, and she's sideways.
Yeah, unfortunately the video she sent us won't switch over, but it's the message really that we're trying to
Can you use that
together.
icon next to the, over to the left
This
there?
one?
Yeah.
That's trying to repeat on.
Oh, okay.
I tried.
I guess she had a little wine before she had the video. Hey, so this is Meredith Miller.
I live in Boulder, Colorado, and I ride for Cal Giant Special. I raced at Roger Williams Park in Providence for the last 3 years. It's really fun weekend of racing. The spectators that come out really know how to cheer us on. They bring their cowbells, they scream loud, they really motivate us. The course is fantastic. There's a lot of different features that make it technical. There's fast sections, there's a flyover, there's a bowl that runs through the trees. And I'd really love to see you guys out there cheering us on in the fall.
That was
some of
just,
that.
yeah, so Meredith is one of the top 3 female athletes in the country and in the world. And she comes to Providence every year. She races with California Giant Berries in Specialized. And she is probably one of the coolest, most real down-to-earth people. But she's a social media giant. She crashed this year. And I went to the emergency room with her. And she was recognized within the first 1 minute of being there. That we went from 4 hours waiting to be triaged to having 2 hand surgeons called in besides the one that was there. So the people that follow the event, there's a crazy cult following. And so Meredith is one of the top athletes, and she gets a lot of social media for us.
Question 9.
What is the protocol of the cyclist crashes?
Well, the protocol is we all have walkie-talkies, everyone on staff and volunteers. Most of them, do the volunteers all have? Yeah. Everyone has a walkie-talkie because you don't know where a crash is going to happen. It might be with a spectator and a cyclist off the venue, off the course rather. So the first thing that's done is walkie-talkie to get medics there, triage the person and determine whether they just need to go to the medical tent and have the doctor take care of them, or whether they do need to go to the hospital. And the protocol is, have a nice day, enjoy your team, see you tomorrow if you can make it back. Meredith is the exception that I actually left my event and I went with her because she's a very good friend of mine. But the normal protocol is the doctors and teams and the EMTs take care of everyone on their own.
Question 10.
How many volunteers are needed to pull off an event?
Say that again?
How many volunteers are needed to pull off an event to scale?
A minimum of 30, much preferred about 100. And the minimum is just to get by. Volunteers, and I know a lot of you volunteer, but the volunteers have the least glorious job but the most important job. They make sure everything is safe. So the scale of how many are needed, the more we have, the better. 80 is the perfect number, 100 is the best number.
11.
Do you offer entrances?
We do. Have placed people with Jelly Belly, which I don't know if you know Jelly Belly, the candy company. They sponsor cycling teams, and so we've placed people with Jelly Belly. We've gotten people in with Best Buddies, working on Harpoon, and we have several other internships that we're working on.
13.
How long does this event last for?
The event itself is 3 days. It's a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event. Friday, this year it's going to change up a little bit. That Friday morning, the course will be open and the pros are going to come out and do a tutorial that people can sign up for, and they can ride one-on-one and get training and tips from the pros. And then we're going to open it up that there's going to be some races that have never been held before that we're trying to open up new categories. They're going to race later at night. And then Friday night over at the Biltmore is a thing called the Builder's Ball. And people take, cycling companies take bicycles that are hand-built, they paint them like works of art, and they're displayed around the Biltmore. And then the real racing starts Saturday and Sunday.
Question 12.
How many sponsors are needed to afford this event?
Depending on how much money each one's gonna give us. The amount of sponsors is, as long as they fit with the venue, there's not necessarily a number. It's more of, do they fit us and do we fit them? So, company like Harpoon, we want their beer because we know people will drink it. So they're key to us. But there might be a smaller company that might offer pants, Mountain Khakis, that might give staff the pants. They're not as big a sponsor, but they're still really important to us. And not all sponsorships equal money. Some of them are for barter, for beer, clothing, whatever we need. But the amount of sponsors really depends on how much money we need for the venue, the event, to cover all the expenses, and how much each one will give. So it's a really hard question to answer as to how many. So I know I didn't answer you, but that's as close as I can get.
Question 14.
What types of vendors do you have on the race list?
Vendors, we have our own tent that we sell clothing and gear that has been manned by some fantastic people in the room. And we have food vendors, beer vendors, and then different cycling shops will come in and they'll sell off some of their merchandise or they'll display things. The vendors, we've tried a bunch of different things. We've tried henna artists and stuff like that. It's not the right venue, so now we're fine-tuned what works and what doesn't work, and this year's gonna be a home run with the vendors. So it's gonna be more cycling related.
Who designs and sets up the course?
A young man named Patrick Gogan. He is a professional cyclist. He has been racing since he was young. His entire family's been homeschooled because of the fact they train so much and they go to so many races that his two brothers just went to Belgium for 3 weeks to race. So Patrick has been in the racing circuit for so many years that he knows what he likes and what he doesn't like about courses. And this was his first year building a course in Providence for us. And we had 4 pros ride the course with him along with his brothers that are pros and really fine-tune the course and make it work. But it's a young man named Patrick Gogan, who, if any of you are here, is really cute.
Question 16.
Can you tell us more about the design and stuff like that?
The design of the course itself is, it's serpentine through Roger Williams Park. So if you haven't been there, it's really hard to understand it. When Bridget was showing the video, we take a huge expanse of the park down by the temple and we weave it through trees. So there's gonna be all the roots and everything. And we have to abide by the tree warden to be mindful and respectful of the trees so we don't kill them by running over them so much. Have to stay outside of drip lines of the trees, so where water falls off of the trees, you have to be respectful of the park. But the way that it's serpentine through is to be challenging, to be dangerous, and to be interesting for spectators. So there was an area that completely dipped down and back up, and the pros were on it for about 3 hours trying to find the right lines to go down and come up that all the pros could do, but then again, amateurs like my husband could do. So they have to make sure that it's something that all abilities can do, because kids start racing the course at 11 years old. And at 11, they're really freakishly good on their bikes. But then we have a 55 plus category. We had a woman who was 71. Was Julie 71, 72? She was in her 70s, racing the course as well. Can't imagine anyone racing at that age, but she's good. So the thought that goes into designing the course is there's a lot of fine tuning with it. The placement where the beer goes is also really important because it's a huge moneymaker. So we place the beer where we know one of the most fun parts of the course will be. The placement of everything is well thought out, where the toilets go, because in the past we never had porta potties down by the start line, and everyone's anxious and nervous at the start line, and there's obviously no peeing in the park in public. So we thought about putting toilets down there. So everything is really thought out, and we try to think about it from a spectator's point of view, a vendor's point of view, and a cyclist's point of view. And that's why we have the team that we do.
Question 17.
How many faces are there?
Oh, I should have thought about that one. There's gonna be more races added. They go off every hour. About 10 races a day, and there's gonna be more added.
How about the Grand Fondo?
Grand Fondo is gonna leave on Sunday morning from Roger Williams Park from the same start line that we normally do. The Grand Fondo means big ride, and Grand Fondo is put on by 2 different organizations, and people leave from Roger Williams